take some aspects of these tips, but don't feel like you need to take all of them. So I'm correlating this directly with my blog post. So if you're watching this on my blog, hey, and if you're watching this on my YouTube, then go check out my blog because there's this information all written up as well. So the first thing I do is I start by typing up all the notes I've taken in class. I know some people start by taking notes in class on their laptops, but I just don't do that. I do it in a notebook, kind of old school, with a pen, you know, cramped up hand. Just kidding. But I just take my notes in a notebook and they just kind of look like this, all handwritten out in all of their glory. So you can see that I just put the topic. Hopefully if there isn't already a video up about how I take notes, then I'll be putting one of those up soon. So, you know, just old-fashioned way, I guess. So what I do is I just type all of those up into a Word document and print them out. And so all of the notes I've taken for this first section, for my first education test, they were 12 pages, or like front and back, I guess. I wonder if that's, I don't know. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so I just take them on here kind of in the same way I take them on the paper, just writing out every single thing that I have written down in this notebook. And then the second thing I do is I compare these notes with these notes to make sure I haven't missed anything. Because that would be a bummer, getting to a test and be like, oh, I knew I learned about this at some point. So I just put all of those notes into here and then I read through to make sure, sorry, I'm looking at this on my computer to make sure I'm correlating everything. And then what I do, which kind of goes along with why you're comparing your notes, is I take notes onto these notes, specifically if I have diagrams drawn out. So these are two different ones. That's Maslow's hierarchy, and that's when we're talking about social interactions. And so I wasn't going to put those or type those out on the computer and print them, so I just draw these in wherever I find it necessary. So that's why it's so important to take notes on these notes. I also recommend highlighting key terms. I circle and underline things. If it's a lot of facts about one thing that you know you're going to need to know, then I just kind of streamline it on the side, keywords, that sort of thing. So that's why I make sure that I'm rereading it after I've already taken these notes, so that I'm also putting in new information and I'm kind of just pulling out and drawing out the key points and what's important from a section. So then what I do is I make flashcards, and these are the flashcards for this section of notes. My education class, our first test was 4 different chapters, so it may seem like a lot, but when you start studying pretty far in advance, then you're going to be fine. I really do like to start studying about a week in advance. I know that seems a little bit extreme, but my weeks are so busy that the amount of time I can allot each night to different things is a little bit minimal, so when you do this in advance, it's really not a big deal. So I just try anything that could potentially pull out of here and make a multiple choice question, a listing question, essay, anything goes into these. So it's just kind of typical caregiver practices that involve being physically close to the baby, and this is just proximal parenting. So just typical flashcard method. And then what I do, just kind of to streamline things even more, is I make a consolidated study guide. I wouldn't consider this a study guide. I mean, I guess it sort of is, but this is just your notes. This is just your information that you've learned, or are hopefully learning. So I can't really think of this as a study guide, but these, on the other hand, definitely are study guides, and these are handwritten. I don't like doing these on a Word document just because I'd rather it fit more on a single page, because I would hate to be looking for information right before a test and having to flip through that 12-page note taking whatever, I don't know what to call that. So that's why I make these little ones. This one just has any listing questions, any keywords that I need to know, and so it's just right here. So if I am trying to cram before a test, this is all I really need to look at. I don't have to flip through all the notes and have the fear of missing something really important. And in the same sense, I did this one, which is I had to know a bunch of theories for like development. So I had to know the theories, who is associated with the theory, and then what the different theories states. So that's why I color-coded this, because I'm one of those people, it's not like a photographic memory, but like you can remember where on the page something was and perhaps what color. So this really does help me try to like pull that information from my brain. So this is that. And then what I do is, you know, the boring part. I go through and study and drill myself with the flashcards and these notes. I guess that moves on to 8. I think that was the number that I ended with. Have a friend quiz you. So especially for these, I could have a friend say, so behaviorism, tell me about it. And I could be like, oh, that's Skinner, and that's talking about how all behavior is learned, and so that I'm not tempted to just, you know, cover it up with my hand and try to peek through, because I feel like we're all tempted to do that when we're studying. And if I'm saying it out loud, that's adding another method into the whole learning process, because a lot of people are visual learners, and a lot are like, I guess, auditory learners. So a combination of both really is helpful no matter what your learning style is. So that was kind of brief. This is the second time I've had to film the video because my camera keeps messing up. But I guess I'll show you that I did the same thing for my biology class. The only class I don't really feel like this would work for is math, because why would you type up math problems? And I'm sure there are other ones too, but of the classes I'm taking right now. So these are just, oh, it's backwards. These are my bio typed up like notes from my notebook. And as you can see, I have a lot of writing on them because there's a lot of information I needed to consolidate, which then was put onto flashcards and this lovely little sheet of paper. So I had to know all the biomes, and you're probably thinking, Dorothy, are you in 9th grade biology? Nope, I'm not. I just am not a science person, so I'm taking the easiest one I can, and it's not that easy. So that is just consolidated. This is the same sort of thing as like the theory sheet, because it's a lot of things I had to know and memorize, although I didn't do it in different colors. And then this was a lot of listing and terms that I thought were going to resurface a lot. So that is about it for how I study for my tests. Definitely save all of your study materials, because we have these lovely things called exams and midterms that we all get to rejoice over. Just kidding, I really am not an exam person. But definitely save them so that you can look back at them and all the hard work is already done. When the exam comes, all you have to do is really just study it and reinforce what you need to know. So I hope this helped for y'all, and if you have any other study tips that you think a lot of people could benefit from, definitely put them in the comments below. And I guess if you want to see more of me, check out my blog, check out my Instagram, which is at PrepInYourStep. Go follow it. You can find me on Pinterest. All of those will be linked below. But until then, I will see y'all later.